Somewhere tonight, a phone lights up on a nightstand. One name. One notification. One person who hasn't said a word in months. And the person staring at that screen feels something they swore they'd never feel again. That jolt, right in the chest, like a door they'd bolted shut just came open from the other side. They'll ask the same question almost everyone asks in this exact moment. How did they know? Why now, after all this silence, after all this healing, why tonight? It feels like fate. It feels like some kind of radar. Like the second you finally let go of the rope, they somehow felt the slack. Here's the uncomfortable part, it's not a coincidence. It was never a coincidence. What looks like perfect timing is actually the last step of a process that started weeks, sometimes months, before that notification ever showed up. A process most people never see coming, because it doesn't happen to them. It happens around them. By the end of this, you won't just understand why they come back. You'll be able to see it coming next time, before the screen even lights up. Nobody heals in a straight line. That's the first thing to understand. In the beginning, silence feels like punishment. The absence of chaos is disorienting when chaos was the only language you knew for years. So the mind fills the void the only way it knows how, by replaying old conversations, run back frame by frame, searching for the line where it all went wrong. Was it me? Did I imagine the good parts? Was any of it real? From the outside, this looks like nothing. A person going quiet. But underneath that stillness, something is happening that no one can see yet. Piece by piece, a self that had been sanded down for years starts to grow back. It shows up in small, almost boring ways. A laugh that isn't forced, an opinion spoken out loud without flinching, a Tuesday that passes without a single check of the phone. Nobody throws a parade for that. But it is, without question, the most dangerous thing that can happen to the story someone else has been telling about you. Because somewhere out there, that other person is still operating on an old forecast. They predicted you'd fall apart. They needed you to fall apart. It's the only ending that keeps their version of events intact. And for a while, the forecast holds. Then one day, it doesn't. Here's something most people get wrong. They think the story ends when the relationship does. It doesn't. For one person, the breakup is the finish line. For the other, it's the start of a very different project, watching. Not stalking, not some cinematic thriller surveillance operation. Something quieter than that, and honestly, something scarier because of how ordinary it looks. A mutual friend mentions, offhand, that you've been traveling. Somebody tags you in a photo where you're laughing with your whole face. Someone says, almost in passing, yeah, they seem really good lately. On their own, these are nothing. Background noise. But collected over weeks, they start to form a pattern, and that pattern tells a story the other person never expected to read. Because they were counting on a different ending. They expected you to shrink. To struggle. To prove, one way or another, that you needed them more than you let on. If you had fallen apart, it would have confirmed everything they wanted to believe about their own importance. For a while, grief does exactly that. The early weeks after any breakup look like devastation from the outside, and that devastation is exactly the confirmation they were hoping for. So they relax. They move on. Until the evidence starts to shift. A new job. A new city. A photo where the smile reaches the eyes instead of just the mouth. Nothing dramatic, just a slow accumulation of proof that you are not, in fact, falling apart. You look like someone who found peace. And that single realization does something nobody predicts. It doesn't just surprise them. It threatens them. Because your happiness was never really the problem. The meaning behind it is. If your life got better after they left, there's only one uncomfortable conclusion left on the table. It got better because they left. Read that again, because this is the exact sentence that changes everything. If you're growing stronger, maybe they weren't your foundation. If you're more confident now than you ever were with them, maybe they weren't building you up at all. Maybe they were the weight. For most people, that would just be a hard truth to sit with. For someone whose entire identity runs on being irreplaceable, it's an earthquake, because their sense of self was never built on being loved. It was built on being necessary. And you, simply by living your life, just became the single hardest thing to argue with, evidence. Not a confrontation. Not a speech. Not a single accusatory text. Just a life, quietly proving a point they never wanted proven. So here's what actually happens first, and it's almost never what people expect. The first emotion isn't love. It isn't regret. It sure isn't missing you. It's uncertainty. A low-grade static they can't quite explain. So the mind does what minds do when they're protecting a comfortable story. It starts inventing loopholes. Maybe they're faking it. Maybe it's all for show online. Maybe it's temporary, give it time, it'll fall apart. Every excuse buys a little more time before the real question has to be faced. What if I wasn't the reason their life was hard? What if I was the reason? Weeks pass. The theory doesn't hold up. Months pass, the happiness doesn't fade. And that's when watching from a distance stops being enough. That's when curiosity turns into something with momentum. Something that's about to start moving, quietly, carefully, in your direction. By the time that first notification hits your screen, the decision behind it is already old news. It wasn't made that morning. It wasn't some spontaneous 2 a.m. impulse. It was made days, sometimes weeks, earlier. By the time that first notification hits your screen, the decision behind it is already old news. It wasn't made that morning. It wasn't some spontaneous 2 a.m. impulse. It was made days, sometimes weeks, earlier. If they sense you're still tethered emotionally, the approach stays soft, low risk, deniable. If they sense you've genuinely built a new life, the whole calculation shifts. Either way, what they're really hunting for is to know if they still live somewhere in your head. So the search starts with signals too small to accuse anyone of anything. A profile view that shows up and disappears. A like on a 2-year-old photo, out of nowhere. Showing up somewhere they know you'll probably be. Each one is small enough to explain away. That's the entire design, deniability built right into the delivery. At this stage, there's no interest in rebuilding anything. This is reconnaissance. Every tiny move is a test. Did you notice? Did you check their profile back? You don't even have to respond for them to get their answer. Behavior leaks information whether you mean it to or not. But here's the twist, what they're actually measuring isn't your life. It's your availability. You could have the dream job, the dream apartment. None of that matters if part of you is still quietly checking, still quietly wondering. This is exactly where most people accidentally reopen a door they thought they'd locked, not by replying, but by reacting. Wondering. Theorizing. Spending real, finite mental energy trying to decode a move that was designed specifically to make them do exactly that. No message has been sent yet. But psychologically, the return has already begun. It almost never starts with an apology. It almost never opens with a confession. It shows up disguised as something small enough to seem beneath suspicion. A random question. An old memory. A birthday text. That's the entire point. The first message isn't built to repair anything. It's built to run a test. Every word you send back, every pause before you type, every emoji, it's all data feeding one single question. Can they still get to you? Most people think the danger is in the conversation itself. It isn't. The conversation is the instrument. What's actually being measured is how you respond. Do you answer in seconds? Do you sound emotional? Do you still want them to understand you? The moment you start asking, what are they trying to find out? The entire dynamic flips. But if that first message does land, everything accelerates. Suddenly they remember details about you. They're patient. Warmer than you remember. For a strange, disorienting moment, it feels like the person you first fell for. Hope moves in to fill the space. And hope asks one very dangerous question: what if this time is actually different? It's the question that has pulled more people back into the exact relationship they clawed their way out of than almost anything else. Not because they were foolish. Because they were human. But real change looks like years of consistency nobody was there to witness. Without that, this isn't transformation. It's the same story, wearing a new outfit. The warmth doesn't vanish all at once. It just starts to flicker. The effort that felt so reliable a few weeks ago becomes unpredictable. The attention that used to arrive freely now has to be waited for. And somewhere in that waiting, a feeling creeps back in that you promised yourself you'd never feel again. You're questioning your worth. Overthinking a text. Working for something that was never supposed to require work. And in that exact moment, the truth lands: the cycle never actually ended. It just restarted, wearing a disguise good enough to fool you once. But here's where the story turns, because there is exactly one thing capable of breaking this loop for good. And the irony is almost too perfect: it's the very same thing that dragged them back in the first place. You. Not a louder, angrier you. The quiet, unglamorous, unphotographable version of you that kept showing up for yourself on the days nobody was watching. The friendships you repaired. The nights you slept straight through without replaying old arguments. That version of you was never rebuilding the relationship. She, or he, was rebuilding a life. And that's the transformation they actually notice. Not because they suddenly understand your worth. Because they realize, for the first time, that they can no longer define it. The person they knew how to operate simply isn't there to operate. Eventually, almost everyone ends up standing at the exact same crossroads. The phone lights up. The name appears. For one full second, time genuinely seems to stop, and your heart remembers things your mind spent months trying to file away for good. Not just the pain. The laughter, too. For a moment, it gets hard to separate who they actually were from who you desperately hoped they'd become. That confusion, that's the final illusion. The illusion is believing, even for a second, that the past has somehow rewritten itself. But healing was never about erasing memory. It's about changing your relationship to it. The questions that used to keep you up at 2 a.m. stop demanding answers. Closure was never something someone else could hand you. It's something you build, one boundary, one ordinary Tuesday, one quiet win. And that's the actual finish line. Not revenge. It's absence. Not the absence of them from your life, the absence of needing anything from them at all. Because your value was never sitting in their hands. They come back looking for the person they used to control. That person isn't there anymore. So if that name ever lights up your screen again, don't waste a single second asking why they came back. Ask yourself the only question that actually matters: does the life I built still have room for the one I walked away from? Because that answer is the only ending to this story that was ever going to matter. They didn't come back for love. They came back because you stopped waiting. And once you understand that, there's nothing left for them to come back to. Only a future. And for the first time in a long time, it's entirely, unmistakably yours.